On behalf of our entire WWE family, we would simply like to say thank you and welcome you to WrestleMania! Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. You are the Cheap Shot Nation, and this is night 2 of WrestleMania. Took place on the 11th of April 2021. No electrical storms, which means we didn't get to see the commentary team in ponchos. I was really disappointed by this because I had many ideas for what I could do with that image. However, we're going to take you through all the action of night 2. My opinion wasn't quite up to the same standard as night 1, but let us know what you think whilst we transition into the main part of the video. We start night 2 with Ashland Craft, America's The Beautiful rendition, as the superstars are on the stage, but it's really weird because Drew McIntyre's in full gear. I get the feeling this was pre-recorded, but that's fine because it is literally just America the Beautiful, which is absolutely, it's a beautiful song, really cool, and you know it's WrestleMania when they break that out, so why not? We start with a long time feud between Randy Orton and the Fiend, and of course the Fiend is with Alexa Bliss, and I got the feeling that basically there was more pomp and circumstance to the entrance than there was to the actual match. The Fiend popping up from inside a Jack-in-the-Box, for example, with Alexa Bliss turning the handle. Starts off really cool, very a la Stone Cold, driving in the truck and then jumping off over onto Vince McMahon. The Fiend flies at Randy Orton and takes it to the Viper, the Legend Killer, really quite wickedly at the beginning of this match, but Alexa Bliss would distract the Fiend, and this would be the ending of the match. The distraction of black goo coming down Alexa's face would distract the Fiend enough for Randy Orton to hit the RKO. Not quite sure what I watched here, to be honest. Maybe that's what they're going for, I don't know, but I've got to say that for all the build-up, the months and months of build-up for the Fiend to finally get his revenge, because let's face it, there's no way that Randy Orton is not the bad guy here. He set the Fiend on fire. So yeah, and all that transition back to the old Fiend as well. What was the point of it being burnt? So many more questions than answers in this one. Like I said, the black slime, why? And Alexa Bliss slightly darker, slightly different. Maybe she's taking over the Fiend in that way. And I'm going to give this one 2 cheap shots out of 5. It wasn't really a match. I suppose I'm giving the 2 cheap shots for the start of the match, for Alexa Bliss, and the fact that Randy Orton hit the RKO out of nowhere. My Amazon Echo is going crazy every time I mention Alexa Bliss's name. There you go. Funny. But yeah, not a great opening tonight too, to be honest. So we'll move on to the next match. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens next, a feud that he's been going for years, literally decades. Down the indies all the way into NXT, their feud was fantastic, and now on to the main card as well. They've had many different run-ins on the main card. They've been friends again, they've been enemies, and now it's culminated in this, featuring Logan Paul, the celebrity involvement in night 2. And by celebrity I mean he's got a YouTube channel that seems to be quite popular. Honestly, I thought he was dead. I really did. Anyway, didn't have much involvement in this, which is fine. He was just on the outside reacting, trying to clap along with the fans that were in the house. And this match was really short. Again, I was really disappointed. And it's not a great, 3 matches to start off Unite 2, but it does get ever so slightly better. But really short match, ends with a super kick and a stunner from Kevin Owens. The right result, but I was hoping that these two would just beat snot out of each other like they always used to do. Something I've mentioned here, these two deserved longer. They deserved much more. Kevin Owens put on one of the performances of WrestleMania last year, and they just couldn't be bothered to give him time with Sami Zayn. These two have unlimited chemistry. Why would you not give them more time? I'm going to give this one 2 cheap shots out of 5 for the match. I'm going to add an extra cheap shot on for the stunner to Logan Paul. There you go. My final score for this one is 3 cheap shots out of 5, because Kevin Owens hit the stunner on Logan Paul, and he hit every single inch of it, which was great. So moving on to the next match. This match had potential show stealer written all over it, but I also said that about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which didn't deliver. Thankfully this one did. Not quite the show stealer that I was expecting, but a very good match indeed. It is for the United States Championship, and it is Riddle versus Sheamus, the 2 most popular one-named superstars that are left on the main roster. This match was really good. These two seem to have a lot of chemistry. Sheamus is the hard-hitting one, Riddle is the technician. Sheamus has his moments with the technical stuff. Riddle tries to do all the jumpy stuff as well, but it was ultimately that which would cost Riddle the championship, a championship that he's defended through and through since he won it. And Sheamus becomes 3 times United States champion as Matt Riddle tries to do a jumpy flippy thing, and Sheamus boots him in the jaw. Absolutely beautiful, perfect shot to the jaw of Riddle. Sheamus pins Riddle, and we get a new United States champion. I'm very okay with this. I just hope he busts out the blue trunks with the red and white trim, because he had those last time he was United States champion, and it was fun. I'm going to give this one a straight 3 cheap shots out of 5. This match was really good, really entertaining. It was probably better than it should have been, but clearly these two have a lot of chemistry inside the ring. Don't know what people think of Riddle outside the ring, because he's got this sort of persona going on. I don't know how he gets away with all of his references to the big green Bruce Banner, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but he does. So he must have something. He must be, liked backstage, really, to get away with all these things. But I do feel like taking the championship off him now is the right thing to do because of all these references. I don't know if it's a punishment thing. I know he probably doesn't care. But there you go. It's a good match. Don't really like Riddle, but I know he can put on a good performance, and Sheamus just brought the best out of him. The Nigerian drum fight is next, and it is for the Intercontinental Championship. A Nigerian drum fight is basically a street fight where there's various instruments of destruction outside the ring, including drums and a gong, and there's no rules. So yeah, just to give you a background of it, it is of course Big E Langston, who is the current champion, versus Apollo, just because I can, who's now turned Nigerian, something they didn't realise he was until like a month ago, and they just forced out all of the the green and white and all that kind of stuff. Now, the drums were around the ring. I've got no idea whether they were Nigerian, but they were painted green, so I will give them the benefit of the doubt on this one and say that they were actually Nigerian drums. Now, the first weapon that both competitors used was a kendo stick. I didn't even know they were Nigerian. I thought they were from Japan, you know. But, you know, WWE, always the educator. We get a couple of kendo sticks and they didn't even beat one drum. Or the gong. The gong would come into play later on as Big E would try and hit Apollo over the head with it. That would go wrong and Big E would end up falling over with it and it would gong on the floor instead. But this match was okay. Again, they've got really good chemistry. It was it was a good match, a good technical match. They've got, like I say, they've got the chemistry. The street fight scenario didn't really work because they didn't really use the outside too much, and then we got some interference as well, and I put his name down as Dave, and then I found out that his name was Dabba Kato. Sounds like something from the Flintstones. And Apollo covers Big E for the win with the help of Dabba Kato, or in this case Dave, because that's just what I want to call him for now. So Dave helps Apollo Crews win the championship. He is once again the Intercontinental Championship. He's the Intercontinental Champion, not literally the championship. I do keep saying that. He is just the champion. He's not turned gold and he doesn't have a big leather strap. That sounded wrong. I'm going to go away from that. I'm going to take away one half cheap shot here because they did not use any of the Nigerian drums. That was annoying. There was a Nigerian drum match. They did not use any of the drums to beat each other over the head with, or perform that scene from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective When Nature Calls, where he's just bouncing his head from one drum to the other. I thought that would have been awesome, but they did not do that. They did not use the drum. I'm going to give this one 3 cheap shots out of 5. Should be 3.5. Taking away half a cheap shot because they didn't use the drum. Because I can. And that's my assessment of this match. It was good. We're getting better as we go along, but like I say, night 2 definitely not on par with night 1, where 3s, 2.5s, whereas night 1 was 3s and halves and 4s, and 4.5 at one stage. Now, this is not to take away from night 2. It was still very, very enjoyable, just not quite as enjoyable as night 1. Same last year, actually, I thought. I know some people enjoyed night 2 more, which we'll get into later. But yeah, I really enjoyed night 1 a lot more than night 2. Moving on, next it is the SmackDown. No, it's the Raw, Women's Championship match, because the SmackDown Women's Championship was the main event of night 1, which was awesome. Awesome match. It is Asuka, the undefeated champion. No one's ready for Asuka apart from apparently Rhea Ripley, who was the runner-up in the Royal Rumble, although new footage has revealed that she did actually win the Royal Rumble because Bianca Belair's feet did in fact touch the floor, as Rhea Ripley was denied, and that little bit where they both climbed back in the ring. Now, this match, what can I say, right? So, I'm all for moving forward. I know a couple of my mates who I was watching this with, Tom was really annoyed about Rhea Ripley just coming straight up from NXT and going straight into the main event and winning the championship. Now, I'm okay with Rhea winning the championship, big fan of Rhea Ripley. I know how hard she has worked to get to that point, and it's not just a simple fact of her coming straight up to the main roster and going for the title. She was the runner-up in the Royal Rumble. She was the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion. She was NXT Women's Champion. She was runner-up in the first ever Mae Young Classic. And now she's on the main roster and she's Raw Women's Champion as well. She is the first one to go all the way through and, you know, win the 3 championships. The only championship she's got left now is the SmackDown Women's Championship, which I feel like she could definitely win later down the line, and obviously the tag team championships. So yeah, I'm all for Rhea Ripley winning this one. Sasha Banks is 6-0 at WrestleMania as we speak, losing every single outing at WrestleMania here. So yeah, I'm fine with this. Rhea Ripley getting some redemption for last year after losing the NXT Women's Championship to Charlotte. So with this one, these two, again, they put on a good show. Now, speaking a lot about Rhea Ripley, I've not really mentioned Asuka. That's because on Raw, she's not really been a part of anything. She's been going for the Women's Tag Team Championships, for example, with Charlotte. She had that little run. She lost the title to Sasha Banks a little while ago when Sasha Banks was with Bayley, before Bayley and Sasha turned on each other. And no one's really ready for Asuka because she's not being used very well. And I feel like this might be the precursor to her leaving the company because she's not being used well. She needs better booking. You know, when she is the champion, she needs to be booked strong like she was in NXT. And yeah, I just don't know what they're doing with Asuka. And they should do a lot more with her because she's awesome. But yeah, she put up a good fight as a champion would, and she did finally succumb to the Riptide. Rhea Ripley would almost dominate the champion, being the stronger and the more powerful of the two competitors. And once she hit that Riptide, we knew that was over. I'm going to give this one a very solid 2.5 cheap shots out of 5. Thought these two could have done a lot better, given more time, a bit like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and given more time for the build-up as well. There wasn't much of a build-up in this one. So 2.5 cheap shots out of 5. It was a match. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't particularly memorable like the SmackDown Women's Championship on night 1, unfortunately. So we're on to the main event now. It is the triple threat, the match that has caused so much controversy in the wrestling world. The triple threat match: Roman Reigns, the current reigning defending Universal Champion over on SmackDown, versus Edge, the Men's Royal Rumble winner for 2021, and Daniel Bryan, the chap who had his moment to shine. He went all the way through the Elimination Chamber, got a shot at Roman, came that close, but obviously already gone through a big match before, and then had a rematch at Fastlane as well. Again, so close. Edge stopping the submission. The referee was already out at that point. He could have come in and counted the 1, 2, 3, but no, he hit him with the chair. And why? Because it was Edge's moment. But what happened in this match? What did happen in this match? The match was actually pretty darn good all the way through. Everyone got their licks in, everyone got their kicks in, everyone did their bits. I noticed, because I'm doing match study sessions with Aspire Community and Wrestling Alliance, that I noticed that Edge was working on Roman Reigns' midsection. Of course, the finishing move of Edge being the spear. So that's good things to notice. There's the little tiny details in this match that made it really good and very main event worthy. But the biggest detail here is that Edge would lose the match. Daniel Bryan would suffer a concerto. Edge would suffer the spear and then the concerto. And Roman would come out really, really dominant here, and I'm okay with this. I'm absolutely okay with this. And I will tell you why in just a second. Edge was laid on top of Daniel Bryan. Roman Reigns pinned both challengers. And how much stronger could you make the champion look than pinning both of his challengers at the same time? Now, I know people would not really like this. I know my mate Tom and Leon, they weren't fussed with this ending. But I'm fine with this. You know, there's a lot of chatter about WWE and younger talent not being put over. Now, the youngest person in this match, I believe, is Roman Reigns. Yes, he's on the main roster. He's been around for a long time, but he is the main event. He is the main event of this match. Daniel Bryan used to be. He's not much longer. He's still a really good competitor, and I feel like he could do sort of what Shawn Michaels did, win the championship, which he's done, and then just have some really kick-ass matches. Edge, I'm not sure what he's doing, whether he's coming back full-time or not, but I feel like he could do with one more run with the championship. I just really love the finish and how dominant it made Roman Reigns look. Even though obviously I'm a huge Edge fan, my favourite t-shirt that I own from WWE shop. But yeah, as much as I wanted Edge to win, and I felt like he should, I'm okay with the finish. I really am. I said that this has all the hallmarks of Edge winning the championship and Daniel Bryan being there to take the pin, to make Roman look strong. Now, Roman looked really strong and still made the other two guys look strong as well, because he had to deliver a single man concerto to both of them in order to win the match. Of course, in triple threat matches, there's no disqualifications. And Roman Reigns would win. There was no hooking of a submission move in or anything like that. But yeah, I'm okay with the finish. I really am. And that's why this one is actually going to get 4 cheap shots out of 5. It told a great story, and the little attention to details, like Edge working on Roman Reigns' midsection, for example, like I've already mentioned. Daniel Bryan wasn't just there to fill in the numbers, he was there to have a go at winning the championship, and came close a couple of times, and it just felt every bit the main event. It's a shame the rest of the show really couldn't live up to what the main event was, and that's why I prefer night 1 over night 2. So this is where we ask you what you thought of the show. Did you prefer night 1? Did you prefer night 2? Did you think they were equal? Overall, did you enjoy the show? The answer for me is yes. I thought this was a really strong pay-per-view. Spread a little bit too thin on the ground to get the 2 days in. Obviously the tropical storm played a major part of this as well, but they got over that and they just put on a really kick-ass show. It was every bit a WrestleMania, and it was great to see the fans there again and to get some proper human interaction with the wrestlers. So yeah, thumbs up. Don't know if I should ask Big Boss about this, but this is going to get the Big Boss seal of approval. Overall, as a pay-per-view, it was good. I'm going to say that. It was really good, really enjoyed it. There was no cinematic matches or anything because the fans were in, but it was a good pay-per-view. Not the best WrestleMania by any means, but it was still good. It was very good. Certainly night 1. Night 2, but it was what it was. So, you have been the Cheap Shot Nation. This has been the review of WrestleMania 37, Night 2. Let us know what you thought. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell to know when we upload new content to the channel. I've been your host, Luke. You are the Cheap Shot Nation, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.